Deanna Nowadnick, and this is today's conversation on the Purple Couch. This is a Fave lifestyle special production where we get to have real conversations about real stuff in real life as we walk together as women of faith, remembering that where two or three are gathered in His name, there has God promised to be also. And today, the two of us are together. I am with Heather Rousey, and Heather is a wife. Heather is a small business owner here in Monroe. Her and her husband are very familiar faces. And I have to add, because I always forget to give credit where credit is due, we're here at the Christian Armory.
Yeah.
Her store on Main Street here in Monroe. We're on the Pilot House Coffees side of the business, having a great time on an actual couch, because we have giggled in the past and said, hi, we're on the Purple Couch, even though we're on stools. We are on a couch today. Heather loves our community. Her family's roots go back 100 years, and just last month she added a new title to her civic interest. So today I'm delighted to welcome Heather to the Purple Couch. Heather, welcome.
Thank you.
How did life change for you, Heather, on November 5th?
Oh boy. I think that from now on I have to remember to not wear sweats and to put on my lipstick when I go to the grocery store. So.
And why is that, Heather? What new title do you have?
Now council member Rousey, and I will be representing my city for the next 4 years at the Monroe City Council.
I love that. Heather, how did you get to this point in life? How did God lead you to decide to run for office? Have you always been interested in politics?
Not exactly politics.
Let's change it to, what were we?
Public
service.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yeah, I just think sometimes there's some nastiness associated with the word politics, even though that does cover really what I'm in. But from the time I was a little girl, I've always been interested in information, giving information to people, because the more information you have, the less prone you are to steer out of the guidelines, but the more you are feeling like there's less to worry about.
Yeah.
At least for my personality type.
So were you thinking about this in 5th grade?
Yeah, 5th grade with the school newspaper and my little typewriter and the Xerox machine. That was me. So interviews, information, that kind of thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
And in high school?
Yeah.
Did you run for office?
No. No, I was a nerd in high school.
But us were nerds in high school.
I know. I think we all look back and say I was a nerd in high school. But when I was in high school, I remember in my senior year writing in my best friend's, the back of her yearbook, saying my goals in life were to marry a felon and to drive a Mini and become the mayor of Monroe. And I should explain my marry a felon, because not everyone puts that.
Not something a lot of us write in our yearbook.
Yeah, my husband Jeff, we have known each other since I was 3 years old. He was 13, and I've just been in love with him since I was 14 and started writing to him when he became incarcerated. He was incarcerated for almost 28 years. When I was 14, I started writing to him. When I was 16, I went to a maximum security prison to visit him for the first time.
16.
Yeah, 16. I've often said to my mom, what were you thinking letting me go?
The mom in me is thinking
I know.
that same question.
His mom was one of my great mentors. She was like a second mom to me. So when she said, well, do you want to go on a visit? My mom signed the papers. I don't even think of how it went now, but I was 16 and I got to go into a maximum security prison. Anyway, so that was when I was 16. When I was 18, he got transferred over to Monroe, which is our hometown, both of us. And I would visit him on my own. By the time I was 19, I believe he had said, you know, you're too innocent for this. You can't be a prison wife. And he sent me on my way. when I was, so 18 years later, I wrote to him again. We had each been married and divorced and lived life in those 18 years. And I decided I wanted to figure out where he was at, make that connection again. I was in a tough place in life and started thinking about relationships I had that had value to me, and Jeff's was definitely that. So,
and interesting that a young man who made a mistake, obviously, to be imprisoned, that you saw something more there beyond the mistake that was made. That there's somebody very special.
He has the biggest heart you'll ever see. Yeah, he's still. I mean, to this day, he serves his community just as much as I do. But
you're a team.
We are a team. Yeah, definitely. We each have our own gifts, but we each serve the community in a different way. And so anyway, that was 8 years ago. And when he got out 6 years ago, we got married, and our 5-year plan got accomplished in about 2 years, and we built what you see here today. And now
what we see here today is a wonderful bookstore with a side of coffee.
Yeah, with a pretty big side of coffee.
With a pretty big side of coffee. It's wonderful.
Yeah, we've tried to create a place that is a welcoming place for the community. What we really wanted to see was people sitting around and talking.
And that's what happens.
On couches. Yeah.
We all have our place in here.
Yeah. When we wanted to see people communicating, we wanted to see people lifting each other up. You know, we've got people who gather together and they have book groups, they have prayer groups, they you know, we got the garden club who meets there every week, and we just love seeing them. And we just have a lot of regulars who aren't staring at their phones. They are staring at each other. They are holding their cup of coffee, and they are talking, and that's what we want.
So you married a felon.
Oh yeah, check
Do
that
you
out.
drive a Mini?
I drive a Mini, yeah. Covered with coffee beans, by the way.
Covered with coffee beans. And the third was to become mayor.
Become the mayor of Monroe.
Well, that could still be out there, but in the meantime.
That's what a 17-year-old thinks when she thinks of politics. So I have since discovered that there's a lot more to that job than I thought, and I'm going to serve my community as I can at the moment, which right now is as a council member. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. How do you walk with God as a community leader?
Carefully. You can't post what you're thinking on Facebook. Yeah. I am in a unique position already because our business is very people-oriented. You know, we get people in the door all day. Something about handing someone a drink over the counter, whether it is caffeinated or alcoholic, makes them so they talk to you. And so that's right, it's a cup of happy. So I end up with people talking to me, bringing me their problems, bringing me their good stuff. We have a lot of discussions with people throughout the day, like mini counseling sessions. It's kind of funny. And they're just as helpful to me as I am to them, hopefully. So it's been interesting. It's you got to live your life in such a way that you're going to be responsible for it. We all have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But when you're a little bit more in the public eye, you have to stop and think and be real, but don't be stupid. So.
And Heather, as a woman of faith, knowing that you're going to be sworn in next week.
Yep, on Tuesday.
Going to be sworn in next week. Whether you're in Monroe, in Olympia, Washington, D.C., as a public servant, you're going to have smaller conversations, bigger conversations, easy stuff, hard stuff. How do we as people of faith help us have those conversations about the hard stuff? Because it feels like we've lost the ability to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
We've lost the ability to compromise. We've lost the ability to say, okay, how can we best take a step forward? Maybe, how do we do that?
I think a lot of us have forgotten how to disagree with people and do it in a respectful way. And as a council member, but also as a community person who interacts with customers every day, you have to sometimes say the hard words. You have a rude customer who's just taking it out on you, and you say, is there anything else that I can help you with? You know, you just make it a little more personal, and you get that connection. You'll find someone's walls coming down. It's kind of interesting when I've had people come in and they are just, angry at the world. And if you stop and you take a minute and you look them in the eye, suddenly that moment of understanding makes it so they're realizing that their disagreement, their problem, whatever is the thing that is really bothering them, it's not with you personally. It's really...
It's not all about me all the time.
It's not about you. I'm so sorry to tell you. Nor is it about me. Yeah. But I remember, I hate to tell you, I was 40 years old before I realized everyone has a story. And the checker that I am running into that day who's having a bad day and slamming my groceries across the bar stand, you know, she's not mad at me, nor is she mad at my apples. She's had a really bad day. You know, or the interactions, everyone's got a story to go with it. And it's going to affect how they're relating to you. And it does the very same thing to me. Unfortunately, all my customers have seen me have a bad day. So when one of them stops me and looks me in the eye and says, whatever it is, I'm there for you, I think, oh my goodness, you're not there for me, but I love the fact that you said it.
Well, and what an important reminder, Heather. Thinking about how God has uniquely wired every single one of us up. Not everybody is going to be running for office.
No.
Not everyone is going to be hosting conversations on a purple couch that's brown. But we are uniquely wired up, and God places us in unique places throughout our days, throughout our weeks, and the opportunities we have just to engage with each other, to take a moment away from our phones, to ask one more question, take a little bit more time.
Yes.
To realize that it isn't all about us. You know, they've been working for how long, or, you know, you just never know what might have happened in their day, but they just need someone just to say, can I help you with that?
Yeah, each of us needs to we're not going to run into everyone during the day who we can help. We're just going to have a few people who you can touch just a little bit. And sometimes that's the most of God they're going to see that day.
And an important reminder that the important stuff is not the stuff that goes viral. It is those small moments in the day, maybe it's just a comment, maybe it's just a short little interaction as they're going out the door, that how important those moments are, that so often we don't give credit, we don't appreciate, we don't value.
Well, a little bit of kindness when you're having a bad time, I can kind of reset your day. And so I think that's what we're all called to, but sometimes I get a little more opportunities than another person.
When you think about where you are right now on the brown purple couch, what has given you the greatest joy? As you think about following God and the opportunities that you've had?
At this point, I would say it is our ability, Jeff and I, to reach the community. And right now it happens to be, Jeff has a lot of peer groups that he hangs out with, a lot of guys that have been through some pretty tough stuff in life, that he is able to speak to them, where someone who's lived in a suit and tie and always had clean fingernails can't talk to them. So, you know, every experience that you have gives you a little bit more license to talk into a different person's life. But for me, I look at it now and I think I did not expect to be on this road right now. I mean, 3 years ago, a Facebook post got me into the chambers that night for a city council meeting, and I was fired up, and I found out the thing I was fired up about, I really was on the wrong side of it, or I was on the other side. But I found out at that moment, I thought, this speaks to me. this whole idea of there's an organized way of doing things, there's information that I didn't have before. This process intrigues me so much, kind of lit a fire for me. And from then on, I think I've missed 3 council meetings maybe. And I did not think that I would be putting my name on the ballot, but it's been an interesting ride, so.
On behalf of the Monroe community, thank you for doing what you do every single day, for your care and concern for this community, and being willing to be a public servant. Blessings, dear. Blessings. Thank you. And thank you for being on the Purple Couch.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being with us tonight. This is our 4th episode. Next week will be our final episode in this Following God series, where we'll get to spend some time with a young mom who's also from Monroe, who has followed God, blessing this community one bouquet at a time. And I invited her on thinking she was going to share how she was showing her 2 young sons how they could bless us. Actually, they've been the ones giving her lessons in how to bless us as a community. So it'll be a delightful conversation and a wonderful way to end our series of Following God. Thanks for joining us. See you next Sunday.